So I wanted to make this video to tell my story. They tried to keep me from exposing them and telling the real truth, but I just can't keep being silent and not saying anything. I'm putting this out there for my family and also for my protection, just in case. You just never know. As well as I just want to be a voice or an inspiration to others that could be going through what I'm going through or have and are just too scared to speak up or tell anyone. Truth be told, I'm scared too. It took me a long time to actually say anything. I just hope that things would just get better, and they didn't. And you just don't know the outcome, especially with everything that's going on now. You just don't know what could happen. So you just don't say anything and just hope that it just go away by itself, but it doesn't. It still eats up at you, and you just really can't heal until you let it out. And this is what I'm doing now, is I'm letting it out. I'm gonna try not to be too emotional about this, because I know that once I get there, then you really won't understand anything I'm saying, and I'll just be all over the place, and this video will definitely be over. So I know I don't, have a big platform, obviously, but I'm hoping that my story can be an inspiration and somehow touch others, and help people to be able to speak up and let them know that you have to fight for what you believe in. Even if you're scared, you still have to fight. State of Kansas, which is where I reside, Kansas, DCF, they all working together to hide the fact that they failed to protect my son. I've been dealing with this for 10 years, a decade, you might as well say. It started September 2009 when my son was only 6 weeks old. He was taken from me for no reason at all. And I know you're probably thinking, well, there's no way that a judge will take a 6-week-old baby, a newborn baby, from the mother. Well, I thought that too until it actually happened to me. On September 1st, 2009, that's when my life changed forever. Going back and forth to court to fight for my son, and that lasted about a year and a half. I wound up getting visitations, and that's because the father requested that, and the judge granted him that. And at that time, I didn't have an attorney, so pretty much I was on my own. I didn't know nothing about the law or anything, so I'm just literally going to court with my hands behind my back, because I don't know anything. I'm thinking the law's on my side because I didn't do anything wrong to deserve to get him taken from me in the first place. So I'm like, I really don't need an attorney, because why? I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I was wrong. I'm just a regular person. I'm not on drugs. I wasn't on the streets. I was in school full time. I was living with my parents at the time. I was only 19. So was he. He was 20. He was living with his father. He was working, I believe. So, we were pretty much on the same level. So it's like, I don't understand. And I know you're probably thinking, well, how did the baby ended up with the father in the first place. Well, it pretty much was a setup. He actually told me that after the fact that it happened, that he set me up and I fell into his trap. I felt like a complete idiot. Anywho, during that time, I guess he wanted to give me a break and take me out and show that he appreciated me or whatnot. And of course I fell for that, thinking that we can be cordial. We wasn't together. We split up. He was abusive during my pregnancy. So, I didn't really want to, get into that too much. But anyway, he pretty much set me up, and then while we was actually together in the car, we were supposed to go to the movies, but we was in the car, and then he just randomly came out and said, "Hey, you're not gonna ever see your son again." And he was right. He was right, and he kept my son. My son was at his mother's house, so there was no way I could get to him. And the police didn't do anything. They pretty much said, well, he has possession of the baby, so he has the right to keep him. Even though he didn't sign the birth certificate or anything, he still has that right to keep him because he already had possession. So there was nothing that I could do. But I don't want to get too much into that story because it's a lot that went down that day, and I really don't want to focus too much on him. I want to keep it on the real people that didn't do their job and protect my son like they should have. So fast forward, I became so depressed. I was only seeing my son once a week for an hour. I wound up in the hospital. I lost so much weight. I went down to 82 pounds because I wasn't eating. I didn't care about myself, like anything. I just didn't care whether I lived or died, honestly. And then my dad saw me just staring at the four walls, just crying, and he was just like, "You need to get yourself together. You need to fight. Like, you can't let this bring you down to where you just lose yourself." And that's pretty much what I did. But I just kept thinking, like, why is this happening? What did I do so wrong to deserve this? And to this day, I still don't know the answer to that. Fast forward to June 2012. By this time, I had another child. I had my own apartment. I was working 2 jobs, and then we got a call from the police department saying that my son was in protective custody because he was abused by his father. All I could do at that moment was just cry. I didn't know what else to do. They gave me a court date to appear. They said I could go if I wanted to, but I didn't have to. But of course, I was going to go. That was my child. I wanted to know what was going on. So then court finally comes, and then I finally get to court, and then in the midst of everything that's going on, I became a part of the case. And I was like, how? Like, I didn't know nothing that was going on, any of that. Like, how did I become part of this case? Like, why can't y'all just give me back my son? Like, why do I gotta go through this whole court thing once again? I didn't understand that at all. And that's when the whole reintegration started from there. So pretty much that's how it all started. For those last 3 years, I spent fighting for my son in court again. In 2015, we had a trial. Mind you, at that time, the father had 2 open cases. He had a case for the abuse of my son, and then had another case for a great bodily harm of some guy he got into it with at that time. So he had 2 open cases. Anyways, we at the trial. At that point, I'm confident that, you know, I'm gonna get my son back. Like, I did everything they told me to. I completed all my tasks, everything. So there was nothing stopping me from getting him back. So a couple days later, the verdict comes back, and of course the father's rights were terminated, and then mine was too. At that moment, I just broke down. I'm like, well, what did I do? You know, I felt cursed. I felt like it was the end of the world. Like, I was lost for words. I didn't know what to say. Like, I'm confused. I don't know. But the judge somehow fixated in her mind that I didn't have mother bear instincts, as she so put it, and that she didn't feel like I was fighting for my son hard enough. Where did she get that from? I still don't know, because clearly y'all gave me a list of tasks to do with the reintegration, and I completed everything on that list. Every single thing on that list. I've been going to court, never missed a court date, there on time, like all that. Did all my business, everything. So I'm confused as to, what do you mean I wasn't fighting for him? I mean, what do you want me to do? What else could I have done that I didn't already do? Needless to say, I went a whole year without seeing or hearing from my son at all. During that process, you know, I had put it in appeal, obviously. I was paying child support to whoever he was staying with the foster family. The father wound up getting 2.5 years in prison for the cases that he done. And then after a year, I got a call back, and my appeal was granted. The judge, it said that the judge had no significant evidence to terminate my rights, and that she couldn't use her opinions to come up with that. Like, she used her own opinions to say, oh, you didn't fight for your son, when clearly the facts was I did by completing the tasks that y'all provided me with. So a few months later, the caseworker calls to set up a meeting, and about a week later, I finally got a visit with my son. He's practically, at this moment, like, he's practically like a grown man. Like, he's 7 years old right now. But unfortunately, he didn't remember who I was. Like, it's been so long, he didn't remember who I was. And at that moment, that literally hurt it, because it hurts, because your own son, your own flesh and blood, your firstborn, doesn't know who you are. So I didn't really, I'm starting to, here I go. So I didn't really know what to say or do at that moment. I was hurt, but I kept it together the best way I could. But that literally killed me in the inside. But I didn't want to let him see me cry. So I just had to take a moment to regroup, and put myself together so that I wouldn't make it awkward for him or uncomfortable, I would say. So during the remainder of all that, about a year or so, I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to get my son back. And I was able to of just the reintegration process, getting me and him back together. And then that eventually turned into overnight stays. And then March the 24th, 2017, I will never forget that day, because literally my birthday is March the 26th. And that day on the 24th, he was officially granted to live with me permanently. So I considered that like my birthday gift, honestly. So, and then of course I have to deal with the aftercare, but that lasted for about, I want to say 9 months, because it's 12 months of aftercare and then 9 months. But the last 3 months she stopped showing up because she felt that she didn't need to come around anymore because he was doing so good. So she just stopped calling, stopped showing up. And then after the March 2018, I didn't hear from her, see her ever again. So that was that. At that point, I'm finally thinking like, yes, no more court. You know, I'm done. We can finally live our lives. I got my kids, and we can just be happy and just not have to worry about that stress of going to court. But why did I think that? So February of 2018, I was at work and I got a call from a detective saying that my son could be a possible victim of sexual abuse in the foster care that he was staying in. At that moment, my heart broke. I didn't know what to do, what to say. Like, my mind is racing a million times a minute. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's always something. And so when I got home, I actually spoke with my son, and I asked him, was it true? He hesitated at first, but then I assured him, like, everything is gonna be okay. It's not your fault. Just let me know. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to help you. So you don't have to keep anything from me. And then he finally comes out and he told me. All I could do was just hug him. I just never thought in a million years that any of my children would be subjected to any type of abuse. And then my mind started going again. I'm just like, if they would have just gave me back my son in the first place, none of this would be happening. None of this would be going on. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just started putting everything together. And so I started thinking about the medications that they had him on when he first came back. And obviously I took him off of that a month after he was back with me, because I felt like he didn't need that. Like, he was 7 at the time, so I'm just like, why does a 7-year-old need to be taking this type of medication for some anxiety and mood swings? Like, he doesn't need that. And so I took him off of that, and he's been doing good ever since. And then I was thinking about how he used to wet the bed when he first came in. The caseworkers and the other people were saying that, oh, he needs to wear pull-ups. I'm like, he's 7. What 7-year-old needs to wear pull-ups? I don't know no 7-year-old who needs to wear pull-ups. Come on now. And he was always screaming in the middle of his sleep, and always messing in school. I was messing up in school every day. That was what was going on when he first came back. So like that first couple months, he was adjusting. So I understand that, but now it all makes sense why that was happening. I had that thought that maybe he was abused in some way, but I dismissed that because I just never would have thought, you know, that's like the last thing on your mind, that would happen. And now I feel bad because it was actually true. And so now here we are again, going back to court for this. But to make a long story short, with that, the guy, he wound up admitting it and admitting to it, and he wound up doing some jail time. He's still in jail to this day. So that was that. But while he was in foster care, the state of Kansas, DCF, they had the right and the duty to ensure the safety of my son, and they did not. The sad part is that they knew that this guy had a history of sexual abuse, and they still placed my son with him, as well as other children. So that's kind of like, why would y'all do that? Like, y'all at fault already just by knowing that, and y'all still placed my son with this predator. That's a problem to me. And then the fact that they tried their hardest to try to get that foster family to adopt him. Like, they really tried to keep him from me for no reason. Like, what was your reasoning from trying to keep him away from me? I didn't understand that either. Like, y'all really trying y'all. For today, now I'm coming after the state of Kansas, KBC, DCF, because they did fail to protect my son. Even when they tried to make me feel guilty saying that I failed to protect him, no, that was y'all. So don't try to put the blame on me when it's really y'all that failed to protect him. And I spent a whole decade and counting fighting for my son. So you let me know where I failed at. Only thing I failed at is trusting y'all and believing y'all. Y'all claim that, oh, y'all know what's best for these children, know what's best for my son, but you really don't. Because what y'all felt was best for him was putting him with his abusive father and putting him with a foster home who abused him as well. So is that what y'all definition of what's best for kids is? Because I'm confused at this point. But anyway, he's turning 11 July the 15th actually. He's doing way better than he ever was. But he's still having some mental issues. He's still adjusting. I mean, that'll be for the rest of his life. So that's another thing. You never recover from abuse, obviously, but you can learn how to cope with it. That's all you really can do. Now, the state of Kansas, they're trying to buy my silence, but I'm just not going for that. They probably think that since I'm just some black poor girl or that would jump for a chance for, you know, a large lump sum of money, you know, that it'd be okay. But this is way bigger than money. I don't care about the money. They can keep that. I don't want nothing to do with that. That's y'all. Y'all can keep that. Cause y'all not about to sit up here and trying to pay me off to keep my mouth quiet, and I have to deal with him and his issues that y'all created. Definitely not. That's not gonna happen. So pretty much for me, this is about exposing them and getting justice and making them pay for what they've done to my son, as well as other children, if I may throw that in as well. But I know that in order to get change, we must apply pressure. Because by keeping silent, what is that actually changing? That's not doing nothing but just covering up. And I'm not in the business of covering anything up, especially when it comes to any of my children. That's not going to happen. I've been keeping my mouth shut for so long, and where has that gotten me? Nowhere. Nowhere at all. You know, I can't dare to stand to look at my son in the face and tell him that, oh, I folded under pressure and then I made the deal with the devil. Because that's literally what I feel like. I felt like I would be making a deal with the devil if I was to accept the money that they was throwing. Like, literally, I felt sick. And I'm like, this not right. I have to speak up. I have to let people know what's really going on here in Kansas. Pretty much the world, but mostly here, because this is what I'm going through now for the past decade. You know, this is my son's life. Like, he's not an accounts payable, he's not a tax write-off, he's not a business transaction as they try to put it. Like, why would y'all say that to me? Number one, like, come on, bruh. Like, this is an innocent child's life, and y'all sitting up here trying to dismiss it, like trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal. At the end of the day, I have to see this, live with this, and deal with this for the rest of my life and his life as well. Something that I have to witness every day. Y'all get to go home, sleep good at night. Y'all don't lose no sleep. Well, I'm losing the sleep. I have to deal with this. I didn't even get a damn apology. Not even a sorry. Nothing. It's just, oh, okay, bye. Go on, handle your business. Do what you gotta do. You'll figure it out. You got him now, so you good. You figure it out. But he's an innocent child, and his innocence was taken from him at such a young age. His childhood was affected, and he will be traumatized forever for that. Like, he questions me and he asks me why he's not like his brother and his sister, and that's something that I have to answer. Like, how do I answer that? I don't know. All I can do is just do what I'm doing now. It's fighting for him and love him. That's it. I can't lie. It is extremely difficult to raise a child that's been through something so traumatic as this. But it's not his fault, obviously. But we are taking it one day at a time. At times, I do get overwhelmed because of everything, and sometimes he does, I don't want to say lash out, but sometimes he does, like, I want to say maybe, I don't know how to put it, maybe get triggered, or he's just going through the motions and he just don't know how to deal with it. But I know he's going through a lot. Like, he's so reserved. Like, he doesn't like to talk. Even just a normal conversation, he still doesn't talk. Like, he mumbles his words, and it's like he's scared to open his mouth. So it's just been really difficult dealing with it, and trying to find ways of making him comfortable, and making sure that he knows that he's loved. I want them to answer for what they've done. I just can't, from really deep down inside of me, I just can't let them get away with it. Like, I will feel less than a mother. I will feel like I'm not fighting for what I believe in if I just sweep it under the rug and just not say anything. Like, I have to let this out in order for me to begin healing. Like, I'm still going through, like, I developed anxiety and depression over the years because of the situation, and I'm still dealing with that. And honestly, I don't even know how to really deal with it. I just try to do it the best way I can. I have a great support system, so I'm surrounded by people that I love and that cares about me. So when I'm ever feeling down, I know that I can call them or surround myself with them and they can, you know, reassure me about things. So that's one thing that's been keeping me okay, I would say. I don't think I will fully ever be okay, at least until I see some change or some type of justice going on. Then maybe, but until then, I just don't think that I would be who I was. I used to be this happy girl. I'm not that person anymore. I can say that I lost who I was during the process. I just can't let them get away with this, and honestly, I won't stop until I see some change or some justice. I don't know what's gonna happen once this video posts up. I don't know if this video is even gonna go anywhere. I don't know if this video is gonna get into the right hands to begin change. I don't know anything, but I know that me letting it out and me putting it out there in terms of trying to create change and make change, especially for the future of our children. Hopefully others can feel more safe or feel more inspired to speak up, because I know there are a lot of, especially I know there are a lot of other mothers who went through what I've went through, but they're just too scared. Let me tell you, I am too, but we have to step out on faith and just trust that God will see us through. I know that me, my son, and my family, we didn't go through this stuff for nothing. Like, all this stuff the past 10 years was not for nothing, and I won't allow it to be for nothing. It's going to be for something. I'm not going to let the situation be in vain. Like, something good got to come out of all this evil, out of all this horrible, traumatic stuff that's been going on. Something good has to come out of it. And I'm going to make sure that, I mean, at this point, what exactly do I have to lose? I already don't have anything, so there's nothing that they can take from me that they haven't already done or have taken from me. So, what? I have nothing to lose at all. So, I'm not scared anymore, and I'm going to speak out, and I will get my answers. I will get justice. So, with that being said, I mean, I hope that this actually goes somewhere, and I hope that people can see this and share this and know what's going on in the world. Like, things is just not what it always seems. There's always something going on behind closed doors. These people that we trust with our children, we shouldn't trust them. They're not their parents. They don't know what's best for our children. We as parents know what's best for our children. And we giving them all the power, like, to make these decisions that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. So we have to be able to speak up and fight. Like they say, well, if you don't fight for what you believe in, you'll fall for anything. And I'm definitely not falling for anything. I'm going to fight until the end of time. And they will pay for what they've done.